Texas State Senator Joan Huffman joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show. And Senator, welcome back. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me this afternoon. Thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on the program. You've been in the Texas Senate since 2008. What made you say, hey, the next step, the next thing I want to do is run for Texas Attorney General?
Well, I just want to bring my experience to the Attorney General's office. I have 20 years experience as a prosecutor and judge, and that was before I became a senator. 16 years as a senator, where I've chaired committees where some of the most conservative legislation came through, chaired redistricting, chaired finance, where I'd see all the state budget. So I just think I have a unique set of qualifications and experiences that would serve the folks of Texas quite well.
In the Republican primary, many of you are going to agree on many different issues. And if there were a Democrat president right now, all of you would probably say we're going to sue the Democrat administration just as much as the last guy and the guy before him. And when it comes to what separates you from everybody else, what are some of those issues that separates you really from the rest of the pack?
Well, you're right. We're all conservative, and you hit the nail on the head when you said if there was a different president, we'd be talking about different things. I think I bring my unique experience as a prosecutor and a judge and many years on the Criminal Justice Committee in the Senate. I just want to make sure that we use every tool and resource available to the state to implement laws to keep Texans safe. I really want to develop the law enforcement function of the office. There are a couple of hundred or more law enforcement officers actually that work for the AG's office. I want to give them the tools and the resources they need to more effectively work with counties throughout the state. We have all kind of issues we can work on. There are a lot of sophisticated crimes that are hurting Texans, and we need to be aggressive going after them. We should be a complement to local law enforcement, local prosecution, and rebuild the trust that's been lost over the years. Think about transnational interstate crimes against children, fentanyl trafficking, human trafficking, scams targeting the elderly, veterans, and children. I mean, there's so much that we need to work on as a state, and I think I have that unique background that's going to be able to build on that and make it happen.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned some of that, because I think when people think of the Texas AG's office, they mainly think of what makes the big headlines, and that's usually the lawsuits, that are filed against maybe the Democrat administration or whatever it may be.
Right.
You're talking about also, yes, doing that, and that's a major part of the job, but also tackling some of those other issues that may not be in the spotlight as much as they should.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And good. Again, Paxton's done a good job of going after some of the big woke corporations, which we always need to watch. And really, the federal government can step on your toes sometimes as a state, no matter who the president is, right?
Yeah.
Because, hey, it's a big bureaucracy, right? So
Right.
We have to watch out for Texans all the time, no matter who is in control. Of course, we have Trump now, and we trust him, and we think he's doing a great job. But we have to be ever vigilant about protecting our liberties and our rights as Texans. But again, I think there's been a lot of trust lost over the years between local prosecutors and the AG's office. And in my opinion, it should not be that way, that we should be a team. And I'm going to turn my face towards Texas and say, how am I going to keep Texans safe, and how can I work together with law enforcement throughout the state of Texas?
As a lawmaker, you've obviously seen it from many different angles. Is there something you'd like to do different? Something you'd like to make a change when it comes to the AG's office working with the legislature, whether it be the Senate or the House?
Well, I think it's very important that we be able to work together as a team. And the truth is, over the years, we do count on the AG's office a lot to kind of, look at the ideas that we have. In recent years, there's been kind of a move to give the AG more powers in some ways, whether it's to prosecute human trafficking or election crime. The truth is there has been some trust loss there, right? So it's always a fight within the legislature for those of us who, are trying to make it easier to prosecute some of those crimes. So again, I think if we rebuild trust, then we can go to the legislature and they can come to us. It kind of works both ways, right?
Right.
And better serve Texans, because it really is a two-way street there. They need to be able to rely on us, and the AG's office needs to be able to go to the legislature and say, hey, I could do my job a lot better if we could get, this bill passed or that bill passed. So it needs, I guess my point is it needs to be a team effort, and we need to work together, I think.
Visiting with Texas State Senator Joan Huffman. She's running to be the next Attorney General in the Republican primary for the AG's race. Where can people go and view more about you and see your history and the issues that you're running on?
They can certainly go to joanhuffman.com, easy to remember, and there's a lot of information there about my background, my biography, my history starting as a secretary at the DA's office and working my way up to a prosecutor and on to where I am now. And also a lot about the law enforcement support that I have throughout the state.
Real quickly, before I let you go, talk to us about bail reform. And as AG, is that something that you would kind of continue to, highlight and maybe, push on the legislature to pursue more of?
Absolutely. And, it's been a passion of mine for over a decade. And, Proposition 3 is now on the ballot. It gives the voters an opportunity to give judges the power to hold. Now, we're just talking about the most violent criminals, the murderers, the capital murderers, the rapists, the robbers that use weapons and so forth, the power to hold them when without bail in certain situations. And it's a very important tool. Still gives the judge some discretion, but it's going to be a very important tool. And yes, as AG, I would always follow through for the protection of victims and Texans at large as we, face crime throughout some of the cities and really throughout Texas, because it has bled over, whether it's because of the border crisis, criminals being let loose and moving amongst counties, but there is an issue and there is a problem throughout Texas.
Do you support that proposition, by the way, on the constitutional amendments?
Yes, I sponsored the bill and I sponsored the constitutional amendment, and it passed overwhelmingly with big bipartisan support. So it is widely supported, and it really has been worked on for several years, many years actually, to get it in a place where I think we've balanced constitutional rights, due process rights, and the safety of the victims, the public, and law enforcement. It's very well balanced.
I like it. I don't have a problem with it, but I have seen some conservatives who come out and go, they worry about it being a constitutional amendment, that it hamstrings judges and that it takes power away from the judges. What do you say to that particular argument?
That is not correct, because the judge can ultimately make the decision. If they decide to release the individual, they have to write a statement as to why they are, but they certainly have the power and the right to do so. And if the facts justify it, then that's what they should do. So the power remains with the judge to make the ultimate decision. And remember, this is what they do in federal courts. This has been upheld constitutionally at state levels and at federal levels. And so I think it is very well balanced. And so I do urge those who have concerns to read it again and think about it in those terms.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good constitutional amendment.
Yeah,
and so I've just seen, you see some people complain about it on social media, and I have you here. I might as well ask. And so I appreciate you taking some time to join us today. Best of luck in your campaign. Let's do this again soon. Let's get you on again and talk about this campaign.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. You have a great afternoon.
Absolutely, you too. That's Texas State Senator Joan Huffman running in the Republican primary for Texas Attorney General.